Okay, so we'll continue holding the end of Siman Kuf test, which is the Siman today, and then we'll go on, Hashem, after Tisha B'Av. Siman Kuf Tzadik deals with stains, which is a long Siman, a very important Siman that is quite relevant. Just to review, one of the last Nekudas we discussed last time that maybe isn't clear enough was about the Taz, the Pischei Tshuva. The Pischei Tshuva apparently did say that there is a situation where there's not a complete Akira, but there's a partial Akira. And the example was that she did not sneeze, for example, on 3 occasions. She usually does sneeze, and on Rosh Chodesh, for example. But nothing happened. In other words, she did not see, and neither did she sneeze. So that in itself is not an Akira, because for it to be a real Akira, when a vessel consists of 2 factors, need for them to both happen and not be blood. And if only one happened, in other words, if she did not sneeze for 3 times in a row, so it does indicate that perhaps she may not be sick anymore, but we're not 100% sure, because there's no real Akira. So the halacha is, as he brings down, that she at the very least, does not have to be choishesh, that she may sneeze on that day. Because to be choishesh is also an issue at times, so especially if you hold that once the Zman has arrived, you have to be concerned about that time, the particular time, so you have to be poirish. But seeing that she did not experience any dam 3 times in a row on that same day, and she didn't sneeze, even though she still may sneeze, and when she will sneeze on that day, she may then see blood. Up until that point, she doesn't have to be poirish. Why? She has pretty much a chazaka of not having seen, or not having sneezed, I should say, and as a result of that, she doesn't have to be choishish, that it may happen later for the time being. And as Ilan pointed out, apparently based on what the way the Taz was learning Pshat in that Seif, I'm talking about Seif Kof Vav, an earlier Seif, or actually Kof Hey, really, Kof Hey and Kof Vav. The Taz was learning Pshat that if those symptoms do occur on a certain day, then from the Mechaber it appears that you have to be choishish for the whole day, as opposed to just having the symptom alone, not having that night, but that symptom does not occur on a particular day. Well, if it's only a symptom, and it's a pretty reliable symptom, and every time she experiences that symptom, she has her veset, then you don't have to be choishish beforehand, because obviously it has proven itself that whenever the symptom is felt, as of that moment, then of course there's an issue. Then you have to be concerned, but not before that. So the Mechaber went on to say, but if any of these symptoms does occur as man yadua, then asura bechol oinas haveses. Just like this would be a veset yomim greda, just like in a regular veset yomim is a surah for the whole oina, whether it's day or not. But we don't say hours, we say for the whole day or for the whole night. Same thing here. If this veset consists of 2 factors, on a certain day it happens that and it's a sneeze ever yawn, then you can't just say, I'm concerned only about the time when she will have it, but not beforehand. We're concerned about the whole day. Why? Because we see that since this sneezing occurs on a certain day, then the day also contributes. It could be as a result of the day that she's seeing too. It's not only the sneeze, it's on that day, so it's the whole day's asar, not just from the moment that she feels. So the Taz appears to be saying that the real chiddush here is, the way he holds, that in reality, since this vessel depends on a symptom, there shouldn't be any difference between whether the symptom appears or arrives on a day or does not arrive on a certain day. Before she feels it, she doesn't have to be concerned. So what's the chiddush is that if it does happen on a certain day, then even after the sneezing is over, she's still asura until the oina is done with. That's it. Until the oina is over. It's not that when the sneezing is over, until the time is over. So based on the Pischei Tshuva, that 3 times, and she doesn't have to be concerned, obviously this wouldn't matter. It wouldn't make a difference, because according to the Taz, either way, she wouldn't have to be concerned up until the point she sneezes. So whether there's 3 times or more, apparently that would not be a big deal. I mean, if you are concerned before, then of course 3 times of a chazaka releases her of that concern. But if there's no concern until the actual sneeze, then that would not be an issue. That it would never be an issue until she actually is. So, okay, it could be apparently that would be a chiluk between how the Taz would hold versus how others would hold, and how others would if you follow the Pischei Tshuva, that is. Yeah. Okay, then we went on to Sif Kov Zayin and Kov Ches, where we spoke about the difference between a tinoikes as a kena, a little girl, and an older woman. These two, if she's really young, under 12, if she's really old, we don't really know at an exact age when that is, but approximately we know. These two have special halachas, and that is that at some point, especially for a skena, she's considered mesulekes domim. In other words, she doesn't have to be concerned that there's any blood. And that's very good for her to know, because if she doesn't have to check herself every single time, the way she used to years. All right. With a girl, however, it can happen as she's getting closer to adulthood. It could be at 10, it could be at 11, depending on the girl. It could happen that she sees blood. Now, if it's a one-time thing, it's not a big deal. It's not a question of whether she becomes smear or not. We know that, especially in the days of Tuma and Tahara, blood is blood, as long as it's real blood from that place, from the Makor. The question is really, can she develop a vesed just like an adult? Apparently she can. If it really happens, there's a pattern. We don't say it's just mikre, by chance something happened to her. No, she can. But in the event that after she developed a vesed, she goes back, and for 90 days she doesn't see, then we say she went back to being a child. Something happened that she saw it for a while. So, what's the difference between this and a regular woman who's oiker a vesed after 3 times? So the main difference is, even an adult woman, 3 times in a row and that she does not see, or when she's oiker the vesed. But with a child, even if she were to later go back to seeing, we'd be concerned. She would have to reestablish the vesed. With an adult, she doesn't really have to reestablish it. There could have been a pause. Ceasefire, perhaps? No. Or is a pause the right word?
I love ceasefire.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that was one difference. Even though it's true for an adult, she would be oiker the vesed at 3 times, but she could easily reestablish it again at the same time. With a young girl, she would have to redo it all over again, 3 times to make it. All right. Anyway, with a skena, she's pretty much like a child. In other words, even though she stops seeing blood, if eventually she sees blood again, we say, okay, it happened once. But once we have determined that she stopped seeing blood, we don't really have to be concerned that she's going to go back to those days that she was choishish for. However, if she does go back and have a vesed, then we say, oh, apparently she's not done yet. It's not menopause yet. In other words, so if it's a one-time thing, that's possible. Then she has the same halacha like a ketana. Like a ketana whose time has not come yet. Starts seeing the way she used to see. Then obviously, depending on what kind of a vesed she had, whether it was a flaga or something else, then she would go back to being like a regular isha that has a vesed. If it's at the same time. Okay. Then we went on to Sif Lamed Beis, which I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more right now. And that was Pam Sha'isha Kovas Lo Veset Betoch Veset. It could be that a woman will establish a Veset within a Veset. Okay. What does that really mean? A Veset means that a woman sees usually once a month. Now we know that once a month is not necessarily 30 days. Some periods are short. Some periods can be 23 days, some periods 35 days. But once every so often, let's say between 23 and 30 days. What can happen, however, is that for whatever reason, a woman can establish 2 vesatot. Now when we say 2 vesatot, we're not just saying that she's going to see blood twice, because that can happen all the time. That after she had her period for a number of days, a few days later, or 10 days or 2 weeks later, she sees blood for whatever reason. And it's not right now a question whether she's may or not. How does she deal with it? She's apparently going to be tmeya, going to have to go to the mikveh, be separated from her husband. That's not so much the question. The question is, what about a vesed? Could it be possible that a woman will establish 2 identical, not identical, but 2 real vesatot where she has to now be choishish for that day? She's already choishish for Rosh Chodesh. Is it possible that there will be another day in that month? And the answer is yes. Sometimes, yes, that's possible. Now, the reason why that's not so simple is because there's a whole sugya in the Gemara whether a woman can see blood b'mei Niddah and b'mei Zivasa. It's a big topic, Yemei Niddah and Yemei Ziva. We're not really going to get into it because it's not relevant. Why isn't it not relevant? Because today we're makbid. We don't calculate for a woman. You know what? Now that you're seeing blood, it's really the period of your Ziva, because your period of the Niddah has already passed. It would be too complex for a woman to be able to figure it out and keep track. Which blood does this belong to? And there's different halachas about it. And it would be very, very difficult. And today, the halacha is, for the most part, women are machmir on any blood they see on stains. They treat it as niddah. And they wait the same amount of time. In the very beginning of Hilchos Niddah, we already covered that. That the amount of time women wait today is to cover all the sfeikas. Because niddah is really only 7 days, according to the Torah. But the question is more technical. Can a woman develop a vesed during those days? And we hold that no. In reality, she doesn't really develop a vesed on those. But today, it's not relevant anyway. In other words, we're machmir. We're machmir that a woman can develop, or can, I shouldn't say develop a vesed, but can at least become a niddah at any time during the month. So it doesn't make a difference that much. Where it makes a difference is in the machloikas, big machloikas, on how a second vesed can be formed. Some say that for a vesed to be formed, which means 3 times, you need 3 times of Ma'ayan Satum, not Ma'ayan Patuach. Ma'ayan is a spring, Satum means closed, Patuach means open. What happens is that when a woman is a niddah, she sees blood for a number of days. The Ma'ayan is open, the spring is open. So unless she stops, the blood that she continues to see is part of the spring. It's part of the first blood. It's not a second incident. What would be a second incident? It stopped for at least 7 days. I believe that's what we hold. So the Ma'ayan closed. It closed, and boom, something happened. It opened. Well, all right. So the question is like this. So can she develop a vesed within a vesed? What would be an example of a vesed within a vesed? So some person would say, if you have at the very least 2 times that she sees her period, when the Ma'ayan is Satum, let's call it Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh, the Ma'ayan is Satum, it's being closed, and all of a sudden it opens up on Nisan and on Iyar. But what happens in Iyar on the 25th day of Iyar, she sees blood again. All right. And then she sees on Sivan. The 25th of Iyar is within a few days only of Sivan, right? Do we consider this 3rd time, the first day of Sivan, to have established a vesed of 3 times on Rosh Chodesh? Why not? Well, because she just had it early on the 3rd time. She had it on the 25th of Iyar too. And the 25th of Iyar is pretty far removed from Rosh Chodesh Iyar, so it's not part of the same thing. And now, 5 days later, she sees blood again. Maybe it's Ma'ayan Patuach. It's open. Maybe we shouldn't count that. So I just wanted to go over that topic, even though it's not that relevant so much, but it can happen. And that is what the Mechaber briefly talks about it, that technically it's possible for there to be a vesed within a vesed. And even though there are some that disagree, some say that they were required to form a vesed. I mean, when you form a vesed, you can have a kula and a chumrah. To form a vesed, you would have to have 3 Ma'ayan Satum, and not 1 open. So that 25th of the month would ruin it in a sense. In a sense, it would ruin it because it would say, wait a minute. She didn't really have it 3 times in a row on the same day. She had it on the 20th day. She had it earlier this time. And even though she may have stopped a day or 2, and there would have to be a stop, otherwise it's the 25th, continuing on for 5 days. Stop meaning that she stopped, she checked herself, and she didn't see. So we would say, well, maybe this is the same Rosh Chodesh. No. Some say no, you need 3 times Ma'ayan Satum. So Mechaber doesn't seem to hold like that. I mean, I think That's the way we hold, that if you had at least 2 times Ma'ayan Satum, 2 days on 2 times on Rosh Chodesh, and the third one was on Rosh Chodesh, even though she saw something on the 25th of the previous month, it would not interfere with establishing the Vesed on the first of the month. So it could very possibly be that she would have 2 Vesatot if those 2 days repeat themselves again and again. Here we have the first day, Rosh Chodesh, already repeating itself 3 times. And you can have the 25th of the month as a separate incident appear. For some reason, she's another day. As long as she stops. Remember, the main thing is that there was a stop, because if there's no stop, typically an average woman will bleed for up to 5 days. So it's all one incident. But there can be a stop, and if there is a stop, that means it's a separate period. So then the question is, well, if that's the case, is it too close? Is it close enough that we don't establish a Vesed because of that, because it started earlier? Or is it just that she has more blood than the average woman? But it doesn't interfere with the timing. The timing is still coming back on Rosh Chodesh. All right, anyway, that was just a little bit more information on that seif. Now we've come to the last 2 seifim of Kuf Peites, and these are pretty relevant halachas. They deal with a pregnant woman and a nursing woman. Okay, so a little bit of an introduction. Pregnant women and nursing women are also women who generally will not see blood during a certain stage of their pregnancy or of their nursing. Once a woman becomes pregnant, biologically, there's no real reason she should see. The body basically now is working with the fetus. The fetus is evolving. B'sha'at tova, a child will be born. The biology behind the blood, the menstruation period, is pretty much put on hold. What is menstruation? When nothing happened. In other words, nothing happened as far as the formation of a fetus. So whatever was there in place to serve as a base, as you can call it, for the formation of the fetus, right, is gone. In other words, when there's no pregnancy, it falls apart, it sheds the blood during the time of the life where a woman can become pregnant. She doesn't, it sheds, and the potential of life did not form. But when life begins to form, then there's no real need for that, and it basically stops. So there's a discussion in the Gemara as to when this happens. What is considered a pregnant woman? As of day 1, she's becoming pregnant? In other words, the moment there was conception? Or further down the road? How developed does the fetus have to be for her to receive the status of me'uberet? She's pregnant. This makes a difference, because we say me'uberet doesn't have to be concerned about the time that she used to be concerned about. Intimacy, oina, in other words, the mitzvah of oina is a mitzvah even when a woman is pregnant, until the very end. There are times the Gemara says that it's more difficult for the woman. But by the way, no one should ever think that it's unhealthy. On the contrary, a good part of the pregnancy, it is healthy for the fetus, for the man and woman to be together. So that's not the question here. The question is, does she have to be choishish for the same times she used to be choishish in the past? Was kavua, not kavua. So I'm just going to read it first inside. Me'uberet lachar 3 chodashim liibura. Pregnant woman after 3 months of pregnancy. Umenika, a nursing woman, kol kaf dalet chodesh, the entire 24 months, achar leidat havlad, after she gave birth. Eina kovat veset. During this time, after 3 months, or during the entire 24 months period, she does not establish a new veset, because she's not supposed to see blood during this time. Can she see? Yes, she can, but she will not be kovat veset. Afilu met havlad o gemalato damim, damim mesulakim mehem kol zman ibura. Even if the fetus died, or she finished nursing him, the blood is withdrawn, kol zman ibura, the whole pregnancy, the kol kaf dalet chodesh, in the entire 24 months, however, the Mechaber does say, however, even though I did say that no concerns about whatever she used to have in the past, if in the event she does see, she would have to be choshesh for that re'iyah in the same way she would be choshesh for vesed she'ena kavua. One time. So the basic halacha is that during most of pregnancy, right, after 3 months, no problem. And usually, by the way, there is no problem. Do women sometimes bleed? Yes, they do. And if it's a lot, they better go to the doctor. It could be serious. But usually, they don't have to be choshesh, they don't have to be poirish, as they would ordinarily when she's not pregnant. And same thing with the nursing woman. Okay.
For a pregnant woman, it's a pregnancy.
Right.
The problem is she does not know that.
Yeah, so I'm going to speak about that. Yeah, I'm going to speak about that. Because all the Mechaber said was after 3 months. Okay.
With this situation...
We're going to talk about that too. Yeah. That's what these last two seifim are about. The various situations that can arise during the 24 months that a woman would nurse, as they did in the past. The complete nursing period is 24 months. Can she nurse longer? Yes. Can she nurse less? Yes. What do women do mostly today? They don't nurse, or they nurse less. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What happens then? So for that, we need a little bit of background information. As far as the din of meuberet, in the Mishnah, we learned that a woman becomes pregnant or is considered pregnant when you can see her ubar. And when do you recognize that she's pregnant? When can you see it? 3 months. In other words, after 3 months, you can pretty much tell that she's pregnant. But if you look at the Mechaber, there's a difference between Sif Lamed Gimel and Sif Lamed Dalet. In Sif Lamed Dalet, Lamed Gimel first. In Sif Lamed Gimel, all he said was Meuberet lachar Gimel chodashim leibura. As far as Kvias Veset, if she's pregnant, after 3 months of pregnancy, she doesn't establish a Veset. In Lamed Daled, he does not speak about establishing a Veset. He talks about the other detail of pregnancy. That Meuberet, Meshehu Kar Ubra, he doesn't say 3 months. For some reason, here he says, after you have seen that she's pregnant, or a nursing woman for 24 months, Eina chosheshet leveset harishon. She no longer has to be concerned about the original veset. Afilu haya leveset kavua, v'higia toch hazman hazeh, the time has come. Eina tzricha bdika, she doesn't have to check herself, muteres lebalo. Right? So before we go on and read further from the seif, for some reason the Mechaber seems to be using a different language. In Lamed Gimel, in speaking about establishing a veset, it says a pregnant woman after 3 months does not establish a veset. In Lamed Dalet it says a pregnant woman is what? From when you can see the ubar. Does that mean before 3 months? Because Sif Lamed Dalet is very important too. We want to know, does she have to be choshesh to her old veset? Forget about establishing a new veset. So the Chazon Ish writes on this, apparent different language of the Mechaber, that apparently he says you need both conditions. It's not enough that you can see the baby, that you can see her stomach. You need 3 months. And it's not enough 3 months until you can actually see that she's pregnant. So Chazon Ish says you need both. You can tell, and 3 months have passed. Others bring down that the main condition is 3 months. That's more important than whether you can tell on her or not, because some women are very, very flat. And it's a little more difficult to tell. I know women I was told that were pregnant for 5 months and they didn't know themselves. How about that? You hear that, Nina?
Yeah,
they didn't even know it themselves. There was one woman who gave birth, she didn't know she was pregnant for 9 months. That was an unusual case. Yeah. Usually they know after a while because of how they feel.
Yeah.
And they go for a checkup and so forth, yeah.
No, how can it be? I mean, like, they should know that it's something is doing.
Yeah, so they didn't bother checking, what's going on with. They figured, okay.
Well, you said before, 3 months without seeing, kind of skip.
Exactly. So she figured maybe something happened. Yeah, exactly.
So give 3 months.
Right.
And she does.
In the case where a woman skips.
So a woman pregnant.
Right.
When she misses for 3 months, will we be missing? Or are we going to be made?
Well, that's exactly the point that Chazon Ish is saying, that really you would need to have to have the awareness, to know that she's pregnant somehow. It's not enough that 3 months have gone by. So that's how he learns in the Mechaber. Mishehuka Ubra in Sif Lamedalad, he's giving a different description of a pregnant woman. Not just 3 months went by. I can see that she's pregnant. Then I can tell her, you know what? From now on, you don't have to be choishish, even though technically she may not see blood from the very beginning of her pregnancy. Rav Moshe Feinstein has a whole discussion about this. That today, especially, that we can find out earlier if she's pregnant, will that be sufficient for her not to be choishish? Right. And he says in one halacha he says yes, apparently be mekel, and I think later on he changes his mind. He says, but we have to be machmer. Rabbi Elyahu Kin is machmer that regardless of one's knowledge, the knowledge in itself is not sufficient to override what the Mechaber wrote. Today we hold that in 3 months, and that, like the Chazon Ish explained, and that you can see that she's pregnant. So before then, there's a good chance she will not see blood when she's pregnant, but she would still have to be choishish. Now, once you see the ubar, as others explained, what that means is that most likely 3 months have passed by. In other words, the two are pretty close to each other. The two pretty much relate to each other. Once you can recognize the ubar, most likely 3 months have gone by. As of when do you count the 3 months? So I saw in the Sefer Shiur Shevet HaLevi that the counting is from Leil HaTfilah. You can count from the night of the Tfilah. Some say you just count from the time that the doctor checked her, But anyway, one could be mekel from the Leil HaTfilah. If you know when the Leil HaTfilah was, apparently most likely, and it became pregnant. And it's enough to count 3 complete months from that point. So what about within the 3 months? So within 3 months, Medina de Gemara, at least, she's not mesulekes klal. In other words, we don't assume that Medina de Gemara, we don't assume that she doesn't have any blood. And she can be kovat veset, and she can also uproot a veset. If for the full 3 months she didn't see it on a certain day, she can uproot it. I think most boys can hold like that. And she would be choishish for the other veset too. Because it's only Medina de Gemara. I mean, in reality, her situation may be completely different. But Medina de Gemara, at least, and that's the halacha, she would have the din of not mesulekes damim. And in other words, she may have it, and then because of that, she has to be choshesh to all her vesatot that she had before, and she can establish a new veset, or be oiker veset. But I, from what I recall, that since most women today are pretty much mesulakes damim during the first 3 months, so for chumrah purposes, we are choshesh that if she did not see for 3 months, she's not oiker the veset she had before. Even though I said she should be able technically to be oiker, because according to the din of the Gemara, she may still have dam during the first 3 months. So because of that, Medina de Gemara, she would be oiker the veset. But from what I recall, since most women today do not see blood during the first 3 months once they become pregnant, they at least were machmer, that if she did not see for 3 months, it does not mean her period that she used to have is gone forever, that after she gives birth, she doesn't have to worry about it. No, she may actually go back to the original pattern she had before she became pregnant. It's not necessarily gone. But she didn't have it for 3 months. Well, she didn't have it because she became pregnant. And from what we know, we have to look at the facts. Most pregnant women, even within the first 3 months, will not see blood. So even though Medina de Gemara we're saying that you can see, and we are choshesh, but we're also machmer, that the veset is not completely gone, even though she didn't see for 3 months. All right, so in Lamed Dalet, meuberes meshehukar ubra umenika kol chov dalet chodesh. Once we recognize that she's pregnant and a nursing woman for the entire 24 months, does not have to be choishes to the veset arishon. Afilu haylo veset kavua v'gia toch hazman hazeh. And even though the time came and she had a veset kavua, and she doesn't have to check herself. Muteres lebalo, she is permissible. It's permitted for her to be with her husband. V'afilu shof oderod dam boto onashem lemudos lilos bohen. Even if she were to see lots of blood during the time period that she usually sees when she's not pregnant or nursing, eino elo kemikre. It's only something happened by chance. After 3 months, during nursing, even if we see she's seeing it. No. something must have happened in her body. The clock is not working right now. It's not supposed to be working, and we don't pay attention to it. Even if we see she sees blood, yes, she's tmeya, she's unclean, the blood is blood, but it does not mean that she still has her vesed. The halacha is a halacha. In other words, if during that time her status is that she doesn't see blood, just because she did see does not mean that she's in a different status. It's a mikre. Before I read the end of the seif, I need to discuss a little bit more the din of meinekes. Nursing women. What happens to a nursing woman? Doctors, I think, for the most part, are in full agreement with what the Chachamim wrote, that during the time a woman is nursing, there's at least less of a chance she will have her period. Women are encouraged to nurse. Not only is it healthier for the baby, much more than Similac, as long as the mother is healthy, of course, and she's not a drug addict, then her milk is what Hashem wants the baby to have for a little while. So it is a fact that during the time that a woman will nurse, there's less of a chance that she will see her period. Is it impossible? No, it is possible. It can happen that she will see. Especially today, there is something that the Chachamim write that nature has somewhat changed. That there are some differences between human beings today and in the past. Not only are our diet is our diet different, the atmosphere is different, the air we breathe is different, the kind of work we do is different. So there's all the reason to believe that things have changed a lot. The food we know is not the same. And if we eat an apple, it's not the same nourishing apple of the past because of all the pesticides and because of who knows what else. That we know. The Gemara even says that ever since the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, fruits do not nourish as much as they used to, which is interesting. But even if the nourishment is there, it's not the same because of what they do to it. Who knows? So the nature of food and the nature of human beings changed. And because of that, certain things are different. And whatever the Chachamim said about food or about diets in the past may or may not apply today because of those changes. And that's one of the questions that's raised about nursing women. Is it true that even today, women who nurse, just like in the time of the Gemara, will not see blood at all? And the answer is yes and no. Apparently, some women will not see at all, and some women will see nevertheless. Even if they nurse, they will still see blood within a number of weeks after birth. Can we rely on that still? Yes, we can still rely on what the Chachamim wrote about 24 months. Of course, the moment we see the blood, we see blood, and we deal with it accordingly. But halachically, a woman still has the status of mesulekes damim during 24 months, as long as she's nursing. Or is it if she's not nursing too? And that depends on how you interpret the Gemara. The Gemara, the various sheets of what exactly happens to a woman. According to one understanding is that a woman for 24 months after birth, her body is heavy. Her body is, because of what it went through, the pregnancy, the delivery, her limbs, her organs, her system, however you want to call it, is just different. During this stage, she doesn't see blood. Well, what does that tell us? According to this understanding, what that tells us is that after 24 months, it's over with. And it also tells us that whether she nurses or not, it wouldn't really make a difference, according to this pshat. But there's another pshat, is that blood turns into milk. And that's the case in cows also. There's something in the body that takes her blood and converts it into milk. But that only happens when she's nursing. So that tells us two things. She has to nurse. Plus, if she continues to nurse beyond 24 months, maybe she will not see it even after 3 years. So you see, depending on how you learn, who you go according to in the Gemara, you can have differences of halacha here. But the halacha today, nonetheless, is that beyond 24 months, if she's nursing, she doesn't have that exemption. And she stops nursing, she still has the status. If she stops nursing, she may lose the status, actually.
When she at all.
That's what I mean, yeah. Because of that, she may lose her status. That's what we're going to see right now.
Somebody who stops.
If she what? If she what?
She never nurses. Opposed to someone who stops nursing after a certain amount, 6 months or a year.
She may not have it for a while. Yeah. Usually after she stops nursing, I don't recall asking too many women, but within a couple of weeks it comes back.
The status for 24 months?
No, so that's what we're going to discuss now. What happens to a woman who doesn't nurse? So far, what we know is we're talking about a woman who is nursing. And Medina de Gemara, we hold that up until 24 months, she's called Mesulekes. Medina de Gemara, even if she's not nursing, because we have the other Shita, or the other opinion that holds that it's not just dependent on the act of nursing, it's also dependent on the 24 months time. That's Medina de Gemara. Today, however, we see that after several more months that go by, whether she's nursing or not, so in other words, even if she's nursing, she begins to see blood. The more so, if she didn't nurse, she will see within a little bit of time. So the Chazon Ish writes that today we have to be machmer with the meinekes, if she goes back to seeing, that she has to be concerned about the vesatot hakvuim that she had before she became pregnant. That's only lechumra, of course. Lechumra meaning that we have to be concerned about that. Not that she uproots or anything like that, because, it's still, the period is still there. The 24-month period is still there. To be machmir, it's a fact. We see them going back to, especially if she doesn't nurse. She doesn't nurse and she starts seeing, we have to be machmir that not only will she possibly see very soon, as soon as she does, and we'll talk about that too, as of which day. But at the very least, as soon as we do see her seeing blood, that she would have to be concerned to be machmir with the original vet. So once the 24 months are due, she has to recall what her veset was before her pregnancy. And the halacha is that after 24 months, even if she continues to nurse, she no longer has the status of a nurse. So in other words, so we're machmir after 24 months if she's nursing. If she's not nursing, we're machmir, even if it's within the 20. Only because the fact is that we see. Only because of that. The women are actually seeing, even if they're nursing. So in other words, some women are able to be okay for at least a year, I think, give or take. 9 months, 10 months, no period. If they're not nursing, most likely they will go back within a short time to see. But the chiddush here is that even if they are nursing, then they have to be machmir. That's the whole idea. But it's still 24 months, so which means that it may or may not happen. We have to wait and see. So the Chazon Ish just says that if she went back to seeing, as long as she's not seeing, it's not a problem. Okay, now what happens if a woman was pregnant and she had a miscarriage? So I saw the Kresu Placey, right? Piska Chuba brings him down here. That even though it was a miscarriage, she's considered Mesulekes Domim. Now, miscarriage when? After 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Once the fetus is recognized. So I saw that a lot of boys could write after 40 days. Because the whole halacha of whether she's mesulekes is in some ways tied to the tumas leda. Would there be tuma? In other words, would she be unclean as a result of the miscarriage or not? In other words, was there already some formation of the fetus? And after 40 days, there's already some formation. You can see. So there's various halachas about that. That's the various stages of the fetus. But for our purposes, after 40 days, even though there was a miscarriage, she's still mesulekes domim. She went through whatever she went through, and that would contribute towards her being mesulekes domim.
Once they do have, then they're going to have that.
Oh, that's the next question. Yeah.
So till she sees.
Till she sees, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I did see, this is also brought down in the poskim, that in a C-section, which is, as you know, different, we'll eventually talk about the actual giving birth. If it's done, there is no blood. At least there's no blood there. In a regular woman, it's an operation. So the halachas are somewhat different because you don't have the name tumas leda. You don't have the tumah. You don't have the blood. You don't have the regular opening and the regular birth. So the question is, if that's the way the baby was delivered, would she have a din of meinekes too? She didn't go through birth. When she nurses her baby, she's going to have milk. So that is a suffix. I saw something about, I think the Shevet HaLevi is Mekel, that she's going to Mesulek is done just like any other woman for a while. Others have a suffix. Yeah, because again, it depends on what exactly happened to the body. Is it just the milk, or is it the body? I believe that we're Mekel for the most part. Even a C-section, we consider them Minekes. Okay. Anyway, so that's the Gabe C-section. Let's see now what happens after the days that she finished nursing. So in the Mechaber I'm reading, Ovru Yemei Ha'ibur Ve'ha'anoko. The time of pregnancy and nursing is finished. Chozrot Lachush Levestan. They go back to being concerned about the original Vesed Levestan Rishon. Ketzad. How? Let's say she had a vested for certain days. If it was on Rosh Chodesh that she was using it, Rosh Chodesh Lishon, the first Rosh Chodesh that comes by her, she has to be concerned about it. In other words, once she's done with those, the status of Meuberes or Menekes, she has to be concerned with whatever her vested was. She had a vested of the guf, that she feels something, or if it comes at a certain time. But if it's a vested that's based on a time frame, there was a certain amount of time that has transpired, then then she cannot have that chashash ad shetachzor liros chazor liros afilu pam achas. She cannot have the chashash until she actually goes back to seeing a period of time, an amount of days. Once she sees it, at the very least once, then she goes back to being concerned or the need to watch out for the Yom HaFloga that she used to have in the past. So there's a machlokes here too, that after a woman finishes nursing, what happens then? While she's nursing, there's a good chance she may not see. But let's say she stops. Once she stops, we know that sooner or later she's going to see. But does she have to be worried right away after she stopped nursing because she's no longer nursing? Or is it only after she sees once? Because if you look at the Mechaber, Ovru Yemei Ha'ibur Ve'hanoko, Choizos Lachush Leveston Arishon. That's all he says. So that's the Rashba's Shita. The Rashba is the one that holds the Shita that once a woman stops nursing, and she has to recall what her original vesset was, even if she hasn't seen yet. Let's say she used to see at the 5th day of the month. She has to now be worried that on the 5th day of the month, she's going to see. Why? She stopped nursing. The Rashba does not require, give her a chance. The first time she sees, after that, we know the blood has come back. No, the Rashba says you don't have to wait. Once she stops nursing, it can happen anytime. The Raiva, the Ramban, they're more lenient, and they say that she doesn't have to be concerned herself until she sees once. Oh, the body's producing blood again. Now she has to go back and worry about it that she had. But so long as that one time, that first time does not come, she still may be carrying her, her nursing benefit, I guess you can call it, for maybe another couple weeks or month. Who knows? In other words, it would have to first come for it to signal that she's gone back to herself. The Rashi says no. Once she stops nursing, then she doesn't have that advantage anymore. Now, those shitas who are mekel, what they meant was that she has to go back to seeing blood, even though that blood comes on a Tuesday, on some day of the month that was not the usual day. It doesn't mean that it has to come back at the exact day that she used to see it. As long as she sees blood. She stopped nursing, all of a sudden she sees blood, the blood has come back. What that means is that she has to worry about it from now on. It doesn't have to be at the exact day that she used it. It's just come back. So we saw that the Mechaber here paskins like the Rashba, and the Shach has a problem with this, like the others who are Mekel. And the Shach says, Lo yadati lama hishmita mechabedan. I don't know why he left out their opinions. There's so many, he says, that are mekel. Especially the vestos we know are the Rabbanon. And whenever there's a machlokes, I mean, it could be mekel. I mean, so why did he choose to go only with the Rashba? He says, so that's a question on the Mechaber. But we know that he didn't make it up. He took it from the Rashba. However, the good news is, about this last halacha, is that at the very least, the chashash for a woman who gave up nursing is only for vesek kavua that she used to, not a vesek she'ino. This woman was irregular all the time, and many women are. So irregularity, even the mechaber perhaps would agree that she wouldn't have to be choished. Oinam beinan is the last day she had it. Whatever a woman who has an irregular period be concerned about. This is only concerning a vesed kavua, but not if it's a vesed sheina kavua. I did see that others are machmir also on a vesed sheina kavua. All right, Shevet Alevi is mekel. All right, just to finish up over here, women go through various stages in their pregnancy and in cycle. All things can happen. In other words, it is possible that she will see blood, even though she's not supposed to see blood, whether she's pregnant or nursing. All kinds of things happen to the body. As I said earlier, the nature has apparently changed. To some extent, it for sure changed. As a result of that, they have to be on the lookout if it's pregnancy at the very early stage, in the very, very beginning. Even though we did say that she's most likely not going to see, but Medina, we have a din of the Gemara, and we do have certain realities that sometimes women nonetheless do see. So she for sure cannot be mekel then. She has to basically check herself. She has to watch out for those exact same days that she used to watch out in the past. And same thing with menekes. It used to be almost a guarantee. And by the way, do you know what the other benefit of menekes is, besides not seeing the period? What happens to a woman who's nursing? Or what doesn't happen? Or what's not supposed to happen? She's not supposed to become pregnant again. Is that a guarantee? Will a doctor say for sure you're not going to become pregnant? I don't think any doctor will sign his name to that. Right? That's also, it could be because the nature has changed. But it's really related one to another. If she does not see blood, then she's not going to become pregnant. If she does see, she can become pregnant. And that possibility, even the Gemara says, it does exist occasionally. Why? We don't know. So anyway, if she does not nurse, then for sure she doesn't have any of those benefits. So even if she did start nursing for a while, after she stopped, she has to be concerned with whatever her original vessel was before she began. All right, I think that's enough for today. Mitzvah Shem. Well, it all depends. Depends on the woman. Some women are able to become pregnant one after another. Sometimes a little bit of time. The body is different, but